Assalamu alaikum and welcome to a new engineering related video. In this video I will be showing you how to build an FPV drone from scratch. I've been using the DJI ready-made drones for almost 3 or 4 years right now. However, I started to use this DJI Avata, which is an FPV drone. But to have more freedom, it is always better to build the FPV drone on your own. So that's what we will be doing in this video. So without any further ado, let's get started after the intro. Okay, so welcome back. Now I will start by showing you the items that I will be using for the FPV drone. Let's start first with the propellers. These are the Hurricane propellers. These are 3-blade propellers. They come in different colors, but yeah, I chose this color. Then we have the main DJI O3 unit. It comes with a camera for sure. It has an antenna that comes with it, but also you can add your own antenna, which can make it more powerful for the signal. The DJI Air unit itself has the receiver for the remote. For sure, I mean the remote for the DJI controller. Also the video transmitter. So it connects with the camera, and it has the video transmitter that sends signal to the goggles, also for the DJI goggles. Then comes the SPDB, which contains actually the flight controller and the ESCs for the motors. So there are actually a couple of microcontrollers in the market. SPDB is one of the most popular of them, and the T-motor as well. But I chose to go with the SPDB because it also fits with the frame. Then comes the T-motor Velox version 3 motors. For sure there are 4 of them, and it is KV 1050. I ordered them in the red color. So yeah, this also will go to the build. Next comes the main thing, which is the frame itself. And this is the Mark V Pro from GE PRC. It's one of the best companies that makes frames, so this is the one I went with, and you will see how it looks when I open the box. Then comes the HG LRC GPS, which is actually an M100. There is also the M80, but the M100 is the new one, the new version of GPS, which gives a better signal, so that's also what I went for. What else we have is the Finder 2. It's actually just a buzzer, so that if we lost the drone, it can be helpful to find it out by making some noise. We have here the battery, which is 1050 milliampere hour from Tattu. Then comes some other accessories. Actually, they can be quite important. Here's the smoke stopper. So after we build the drone, we can check if the connections are correct by using this. If there is any problems with the connections, it might burn the whole drone, which we don't want. So something like this can stop this from happening if there's any problem with the connections. Here is just some protection for the wires of the motors. Also, this is not important, but it is quite necessary sometimes, or make some layer of protection for the drone. So yeah, this is all the items. Now we will start the build. Okay, so now let's start with first the frame. Let's open and see how it looks from inside. Comes with some stickers. It comes also with the straps. Here are the items inside. You can see there are some 3D printed parts. These are actually for the protection of the motor and the camera, and setting for the GoPro cameras. We have here also some stickers for the battery, when we add the battery in the end. And here is the body parts, the arms, the body itself, and I believe this is the metallic piece for the camera. So this is actually one of the good things in this frame, that it has this metallic part protecting the camera if there is any crash. And now let's get started by building the body itself. After we removed every item from the box, now you can start with the base of the frame. We will not need this part for now. What we will need are these 2 plates. Okay, so we'll start with this plate. We can bring it here, and you will need these. You can start with these short arms first of all. The arm should come in this place, and we have this cross, which should come here in the center. This is used also to help in assembling the frame. And you can see how they fit together. This should come on top of this hole, and then these holes should come into these ones. The cross can help a little bit with this. like this, and then we have the long ones in this way here, and then this one right there. So it should look something like this when we assemble it, and this should come on top of the arms. So the frame, as you can see, the arms will be attached between these two plates. And the good thing about this frame is that if there is any problem with one of these arms, what we can do is just we can unscrew the ones which are connected to this arm, and we can then just remove one arm from the frame. Some other frames we have to remove the whole body to remove the arms. If we checked here in the assembly schematic, you can know exactly which screws we should use. And the good thing here with GEPRC is that they mark what screws are there, so it makes it easier to find the screw that we need. And also this comes with it, so these ones are also used to attach the screws. As you can see here, for the center we need the M3 12 screws. So these ones are actually used for the inner parts. So these are used for attaching the arms and this base or this cross. So what we need to do is to connect these screws from down there. You can see this arrow, it should be in this direction. So if we add the arms, like this, and then we can just add the screws to keep them in place, and then we can start screwing these screws in place to keep the frame in place. Yeah, so these are for two arms. We can then go ahead and attach the other two. And you can see how it looks after we attached the arms. As I mentioned, there are 5 screws. We are using the ones close, as you can see. We can use the ones that comes with the GPRC, but it is better, I guess, to use a tool. If it will come a little handy because it takes long to screw these old screws. What we can do next is that we can assemble the screws for the flight stack. As you can see also here, these are the long ones. So the long ones here are actually the M324, these long ones, and that's what we will do next. So we can bring these ones, and these actually are long ones so that it can attach to the flight controller. These screws will be attached in this part that you can see inside here. These are made for the long screws. So now we can use the tool and that's it, how it should look after attaching the long screws. Now comes the next step. We can start with the motors. So let's unbox the motors for now. And you can see these are the Velox motors and the red color. I think they will fit nicely with this orange support. Now the motors should come in this location, and we can set this up and attach the screws for the motors as well, so that we can move forward with the next step. The motors themselves come with the screws that will be used to attach them, because I know the GPRC, they have also some screws, because they keep in mind that this support will be used. So the ones that comes with the motor, I think they are shorter than what we will need. Okay, so based on the schematic that you can see here, that the screws that can be used for the motors are the M310, which are these ones. And if we compare them with the screws that came with the motor, we can see that they are a little bit longer. than the ones that came with the motor. So we will be using the ones that came with the frame. So we can see together how to attach one motor, and then I'll just fast forward the rest and just attach the screw. So now that one of the motors are attached, we will do the same for the rest. But as you can see, this is how it should look. Now, so we attach the 4 motors, as you can see. This is how they will look. And the next step would be to attach the safety straps so that we can keep the wires safe. We can add some layer of protection by using these cables or cable protection. So here is, for example, a little piece that we can cut. Actually, there is a little thinner protections than these ones, which can just fit around the wires, but these are a little bit bigger and they have a bigger diameter. So I think it's a better idea that we can just take it around the arm as well as with the wires. So we can go forward and cut the other 4 parts, or the other 3 parts for the other motors. Yeah, we can cut it from here. Then what we need to do is, the pieces that were cut, they are a little bit loose from here. So we will need fire here so that we can melt the ends. And then we can just put them around the arms and the wires. For these brushless motors, it doesn't matter to know exactly which wire is which, because for the direction we can change that in Betaflight application later on. So just we need to keep them safe. So for these straps we have, as you know, two short arms and 2 long ones. So as you can see, these are for the long ones, and then this will be for the 2 short arms. We can then connect the rest. And now, as you can see, this is how it looks after attaching the 4 protection wires or straps. This is how it looks. Okay, so now comes the next step, which is the flight controller. And one of the things I like about it is its design, how nice it looks. But the other thing is that this will be in the base, so even you will not be able to see. It will be hidden in the lower layer. So here you can see the ESC, and here is actually the flight controller. This is where we attach the motors, and here where we attach the other components. Also comes with the packet or the box. This is the wires that we will need to combine them or attach them. There is a capacitor and some screws. So as you can guess, the screws actually we can use instead of the one that came with GPRC. But yeah, we will not need it for now. Also, as you can see, they have some dampers, and here comes also some additional ones we might not use. And this one is for the battery attachment. So now, as you can see, that we have this arrow here that shows where the front of the drone will be. Here is also the arrow in the flight controller itself. And the flight or the drone direction, this will be the front of the drone. So this should be placed in this way. Yep. And as you can see, actually in this part here we have to attach the battery wires and also the capacitor. And the capacitor should come somewhere here in this place. And the long wire is for the positive, the short wire is for the negative, and also you can see the sign here is for the negative. And usually we put the red, we put the black at the negative side, and this red, this is just for protection as well. So this red will come to the positive wire. We can remove the ESC for now until we can attach the capacitor. So as you can see, this will come in this way, and then we bend it like this so that it can be placed in this position. What also we can do is to use some heat so that we can attach these protections, because they are loose right now. We can just apply some heat so that it shrinks and it will catch or it will be attached to the metal wires. So we can apply some heat using a tool like this, which is just blowing some, and that's it. Now the protection is attached to the capacitor, and now we can attach the capacitor again. So when we attach the capacitor, it should fit nicely in the opening that is present for the capacitor, as you can see here. And what we can do now is start soldering the capacitor in place. We need some soldering material. We should remove a little bit the wires from the view. This is a soldering iron. What we need to check is if it gets, when it gets hot, still it's being heated. And yeah, now we can start soldering the capacitor in place. So now this would be enough for the capacitor. We don't need much because still we will have to add also the wire for the battery. So this would be enough just to keep the capacitor in place for now, and we can move forward with the wires of the motors. As you can see here, we have 4 motors, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll attach these 3 wires to 3 pads. Every 3 pads are for 1 motor, so we have to put, for example, these 3 wires in these 3 pads. We cannot switch them, but how we put these wires into these 3 pads doesn't matter that much, because as I mentioned, this will be later configured on Betaflight application on the computer. So now we will do the same what we did with the capacitor, but with the motors. Let's do it. So now that I connected, I cut the wires of the motors so that they can fit in here, because as you can see they were long. So now we'll start attaching the motors to the pads of the flight or of the ESC. Because they have different lengths now, I have to be careful which one should go where. We can do one together and then the rest just fast forward, not to take too long of time. Okay, so after finally connecting the first motor, as you can see, the rest will be connected the same way. I believe like this, the wires are a little bit safer than if we connect it from this side. Let's continue. Okay, now so that we added and we soldered the motors, now comes the next step. We can actually connect this metal, the metal protection for the cameras. as well as this 3D printed part, which is also for the camera in the front for the camera. Okay, now the screws that are used for this part is the M38, the M314, and the M26. These will be used for attaching the parts, which will be then attached to the upper frame. First of all, we can attach the standoffs, these ones. We have 4 standoffs, and first we have to attach the screws from the bottom. You're gonna need okay, and also be careful for the wires of the motors. Like that. We have then, I can show you one of them so that I can fast forward the other parts. These are the standoffs, and they come and just attach to this like that. So I will connect the other 4 and I will fast forward this part, not to waste your time. So you can see now that we attached the 2 standoffs right here, and the nice thing about these metal plates is that they will be connected even to this 2 plates. So they are not just supporting or attached to the camera, they're also attached to the frame itself, and this gives the frame more support and more protection. These 2 standoffs will be placed here in the back using the M38 as mentioned here in the schematic, using the M38, and they are also used for attaching this protection or the 3D part of the camera in the front. So we can do that now. You can have a little bit idea how nice it will be looking, and the camera will come here somewhere in the middle. Then we can move forward and attach these protections here for the front part. I think now it's important to mention that we can go to the next step, which is to connect the battery power cables, which comes with the battery. This one comes with the battery, but with this frame we have a disadvantage as well, that we can have connect this to the upper plate. So from this location we can connect this part, which comes in here, and you can see also that the frame, as I mentioned, that it connects with this metal plate. So these metal protection for the camera, they also protect the frame, and they keep the whole body rigid. So the next step would be to connect the power cables. However, because we need just the distance from the power pads on the flight controller or on the ESC, we need this distance from here until the opening we have here, and this is actually too long. So even these wires I have, they are too long. So just we need to connect them. Let's take one of them. We need to connect it right here, and then this will go all the way until this opening right here. So something like this. The O3 unit will come inside here, so but it will be a little bit up. It will not be stuck to the bottom. The O3 unit will come a little bit floating up using these 3D printed parts, which you will see later. But for now, we will attach these wires, and as I mentioned, we'll try to find the distance from here until maybe somewhere here. So the rest will be cut. Yeah. So this is what I will do next. So now, after adding the power cables, connected them, now comes the part where we have to cut these wires so that we can also connect them and solder them to this part. So they have to come inside each one of these. So yeah, this is what I will do now. I will cut first the wires, maybe around here, around here. I think that's enough. they should be the same, so we can cut it almost over here. And again we will solder this to this piece. So yeah, let me do that. And after connecting it, it will look something like this. And we'll move further with the next components. So the next thing we can do is to connect the flight controller on top. And for that there is the wires that will connect the flight controller to the ESC, these wires. And actually here you can see the connection to the ESC, and it will go all the way to the flight controller here. Yeah, so if we place this here, the connection will be from the front, so we can do that now. There are 3 cables. I believe we have a short one and a long version. So for in some cases, in other frames, some people find it hard to put the battery connection from the back, so they have to connect it the other way, and for that they need sometimes the longer connection. But since we have no issues, we can just directly connect this to the flight controller with the short wire. So in here it should be connected like this, and this comes on the top. Yeah, so we have to connect with the flight controller from the front. It will be a little bit hard, but not impossible. And I believe now we don't have this issue anymore, so everything comes on top, no problem. So now after connecting the flight controller to the ESC, we can use these screws or the lock nuts to lock this in place. So I don't think we need to remove it for now. We can keep it in place so that we can work on top of the flight controller without it being moving over. Just like that. You can see that it's in place. Okay guys, so now we reached the point that we connected the battery cables. What we can do now is we have 3 items left, yeah? The buzzer, the GPS, and the O3 unit. We will start with the O3 unit because it takes much space, and based on that space we can then figure out where to place the GPS and the buzzer. Probably the buzzer will come behind the camera, but for that we need first to put the O3 unit and see how it will look. And here comes the box component. It has just the camera and some manuals, just to be sure there is nothing left. And here is a cable as well that can be used to connect the O3 unit. So the cable is inside, I can see. It is used to connect the O3 unit directly to the SPDB, because one of the advantages also of the SPDB is that it is ready for the O3 unit. It has a place specified for the O3 unit. You can see it right here. So that's awesome, because we don't need to combine them with soldering and that stuff. Now we can place the camera in place. It should come in here. And then the DJI unit. And for the antenna it has to come in here between these the battery power lines. And you can see how it will look. So this here will come to the upward plate, and then the DJI unit comes on top of it, as you can see, and the capacitor is under the under the DJI O3 unit. And I don't see any problems with the camera being there, and the wire will be on top. Then we will have to add also the buzzer and the GPS, but this will be for later on. What we need to do now is to connect the O3 unit first to the flight controller. So again, I will have to remove it and connect this wire to the stack. So let's do that. So after doing that, we can then add the other wall for the O3 unit. I'm just trying to be sure that the wires don't come under the walls or the support for the TPU printed parts. And you can see now how it looks. It fits perfectly inside without any issues. And the good thing about this TPU support is that we don't even see any wiring. So the wires are hidden all inside. So this actually looks good so far. And then we can see what we can do with the camera, because it has to be connected to the TPU parts that also come with the stack. And these DPU parts also help in dampening any vibrations for the drone, because the O3 unit has an issue with the vibrations. It is very sensitive. So these actually also help for dampening these vibrations. So just for putting the camera in position, it was better to remove the metal parts, even it was connected inwards by mistake, so it has to be like this. So after that we can connect it again inside, or we can also place the camera. It would be a little easier. Maybe we can connect it to one side first, and then we can combine it to the other part. So that's what we will do now. So it has to come this way, and from the side, these openings in the camera should come into the TPU part, and then we can connect or screw it from outside. So the thing here is that the screws that comes with the O3 unit, they are used to directly connect the camera to the body, but it doesn't put in mind that we have this like the 3D printed parts. So these screws wouldn't fit. They will not go all the way through the 3D printed parts and into the camera. And for that, the frame GPRC, we already have these into 6 screws that can be used to connect the camera, and they will fit nicely. So this is how the camera should look from one side. This is how it's connected. And we have to now add the other metal plate to the other side and connect it also to the camera. So now that we reached this point of connecting the camera, this is how it looks. What we can check next before we start connecting the GPS and the buzzer is we can also connect the TPU part for the antenna. So this part should come in the back, in the rear of the drone, and it should be placed this way. So it should be like this. The antenna comes in the back of the drone. This is the TPU part. You can see how it fits perfectly in the back. Now we can start with connecting the buzzer, because it will be placed somewhere in the front and we have space for that. I believe we can add it here behind the camera, because we have the space for that. As for the GPS, we will check that later. We can 3D print a part, which can come here in the back, or also simply we can just connect it to one of the arms. But for that we can see later if it will fit nicely on the arms, or we will have to print a 3D part for that. Now let's see the buzzer. It is actually called the V-Fly buzzer, and connecting it is actually simple. This is what comes with the packet, the buzzer itself, and it already has this plastic support. You can see that. And it comes with this wire and something to connect it or to combine it with the frame. This one actually was chosen because it has a high noise, and it can stay for more than 2 hours after the crash. And here we can see that we can connect it to the receiver or to the flight controller. The 3 wires are for the ground, 5 volt, and the BZ, but this is for the buzzer itself. As for the flight controller or the receiver, there is the BZ plus and the BZ minus that we can see directly on the flight controller. So the buzzer is connected now, but we have to connect it to the flight controller. So I believe the buzzer will come somewhere here in the front. We need this button because this is used to switch it on or switch it off after it is activated. So we need to have this somewhere that we can reach. And for the power, we can connect it here in the back. We have the 5 volt, we have the BZ positive, BZ negative, and the ground. That's what we will need. So we can connect it here in the back. So after we solder it first, then I will connect it to the frame. But for now, let's focus on soldering. So now after we connected this part for the buzzer, as mentioned in the datasheet, that the black is for ground and it was connected here in the ground. Then we have the red, which is for the 5 volt and is connected to the BZ positive, and then the yellow for the BZ positive is connected to the BZ negative on the flight controller. So what we can do next is that we can find this place for the buzzer, and I think it will be connected here. It's the best place, as I can see on the drone. We can use a double tape to connect it and to glue it to the body itself. And then we will also use this strap to be sure that it's really connected to the body. And for now it's fine. It's placed nicely on the frame. This can be seen here. Next comes the GPS, and it's an M100, not an M80 GPS, which connects to the satellite faster, and one end will be connected to the GPS, and the other end we will have to cut the wires to be able to connect it to the SpeedyBee, because there is no place that is made ready for connecting these ports directly. Also, what comes with the packet is for sure the GPS itself and this plastic cover that protects the GPS. And then we should apply some heat so that the plastic will shrink and it will hold the GPS. Okay, so for now, the GPS, the best idea here is to be placed on the arm, so away from the electronics, and that's what we will do for now. Why this arm? It's because it's the closest to the connections that the GPS will be connected to on the flight controller, which should be the SDA, SCL, and ground voltage, and then the TX and RX. That's exactly what we'll do now. The GPS module is protected by this plastic, and now we need to cut the wires because we don't need that long wire. So yes, somewhere until here is fine. Okay, so now we soldered the GPS. As you can see, it's connected to these pads right here, and we can now use just the tape to secure the wires, because yeah, they are visible, so we can just secure them around the arm. We can do it around this arm right here. So that's how it looks right now. For sure the GPS is not fixed in place yet. For that we can use a strap. So that's it for the GPS. Now it's attached in this place. It's fixed in this place. What else is needed? Now everything is already connected. So now even before we add the top plate, we can also test the connection directly. So we will need the battery for that, and we will need the smoke stopper. So what we do here is that we connect the battery to the smoke stopper, and the other part here will be connected to the drone. So let's try this out, and hopefully no problems will happen. Bismillah. Yeah, and as you can hear, everything went fine. Everything is connected as I can see. For the DJI, also it's lighting from the side. The GPS is lighting. The buzzer, we heard it when it was turning on. So now everything is connected correctly. Now we can add the touch-ups for the frame and add the top plate, and everything now is ready. And now when we remove the battery, as you can hear, the beeper is actually beeping, and now it became even louder, and if we didn't stop, it will keep doing this until, because it's like if the drone is crashing, the battery would be detached from the drone, and that's what's supposed to happen. So to disable it, we have to just click on the button, which is over here, and as you can see, there is no power connections, so it's just beeping by itself. There is no connections to any power, and that's what we would expect if the drone crashed. So we can press on the button, and now it's disconnected and everything is fine. And now to add the parts for the top, I forgot also to mention that we have to add this standoff, which comes in here between the metal plates, and it adds another layer of protection. And for that we need also the M27 screws. It's also mentioned in the schematic, the M27 screws. So as you see, here is how it's connected. This metal plate in the middle, or the beam in the middle, that help keep these metal plates in place. Then what we can do is we can combine the top plate right here, and for the ones in the back we need the M38. So these screws are for the top plate. So now you can see that we connected the upper part, the upper frame. However, for these screws or these holes, for some reason they are not fitting. So here it's mentioned that we have to use the M26 screws, the flat ones, which are here. They are given, but for some reason they don't fit into the hole and they just come out so easily. So for now I think it's kept in its place nicely, because even the battery or the wires are pushing, they are also pushing into the base. So it's a little bit hard for them to, or for this plug to be removed. So I think for now it's fine, not a problem, but I don't know why this happened. For the next part, which is the last thing actually, is if we want to add this plate over here. This is the last part or the last piece that's missing. Some people can add the GPS right here. So instead of mounting it to the arm, it can be mounted on top of this plate in the front. However, also there is the 3D printed part for the GoPro. So we can either place this right here, or if we don't have or we don't want to use a camera, we can just add this plate on top and then we can mount it. And as I mentioned, we can mount the GPS or any other component on here, on this part. Yeah, but in my case, I think I would like better to add this GoPro mount, because maybe I would test it out with the GoPro and see the quality and how it will fly using a GoPro as well. What is missing now is just the battery strap. We can do this right now fast. These are just added here on top to help support the battery so that it doesn't slide. So we will add this as well, and then we will add the battery straps. These ones, the ones that came with the frame. Okay guys, so here is how the frame will look after everything is attached, without the battery for sure. The next step would be to use Betaflight application on the PC, and then we will test this out and see if it's working or not. Hopefully it will be working, but this is all about the hardware part. So hello again guys, I came to this field. That is the biggest field that I can access, and actually it is enough, but there are still people playing some sports, people running around the track, and even I can see some people still playing football. In which way I will not be doing a lot of maneuvers and many hard moves. I will do some basic stuff, and the point of this video is just to check if the drone is running smoothly or not, and to see if everything is working fine. So yeah, don't expect anything crazy. We will just do some basic stuff and see if the drone is working. And now, as you can see, here's the drone with the battery on. It already looks amazing. I hope everything will go smoothly. I have the remote controller for DJI, and as you see also the goggles. I'm waiting a little bit for the field to get a little bit less crowded. As you can see, still people are playing, and some other people are running around the track. So I will wait a little bit even for the people who are running to stop running, and then I think I can start flying without any issues. So yeah, I will wait a little bit and then we will get going. Okay guys, so now I think I will start. Let's place the drone somewhere far away. So for the first time, we are going to arm the drone. There is nothing on top. And let's for the first time check if it will arm. Bismillah. So it is arming now without any issues. And yeah, I can see that the recording started as well. And there are no people running right now. So now it's flying, but it went so far. Still I'm getting the handle of this. It's a little tough to keep hang of this. And I think that's good for now. I will try to come back a little by little. And I'm trying, it's now leveled, so it is flying automatically. I leave it on angle mode so that I will not do any hard maneuvers, and I think that's enough for now, because even I can see a kid now on the field, which is not safe at all. So I'll just get it down slowly, slowly. and yeah, as you can see, people are passing, and I don't like it at all like this, so I'll just take it down and land. So for landing we have to come a little close to the ground and then just commit suicide. And as you can see, the drone is safe. I hope this all was recording. That's good for now. So as you can see, the drone is working fine. The first flight was also okay. Hopefully next time it will be a little bit a free field so that I can test it on manual mode and do some nice maneuvers to compare it with the DJI Avata. And that's it guys with this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, you can let me know in the comment section. And see you guys in the next one.